Hello whiskey devotees, this is WhiskyWhistle and I'm your host Mark. Today we're going to be looking at the BenRiach Heart of Speyside in Whiskey Review number 72. Now if you look before me, you'll see that there is a boxed set of a whole range of the BenRiach whiskies. So I'm going to do a little grouping, a little set of the BenRiach whiskey reviews for you. Now, very recently, if you've been watching the channel, you'll know that I've attended a BenRiach official tasting that was on May 20th. And this was, in fact, a very lovely gift from the company that imports this brand here in South Korea, where I am. The importer, that is called Golden Blue, in fact. And they are a company who sell, their own proprietary Scotch whiskey drink. I'll call it a Scotch whiskey drink. A Scotch whiskey spirit drink. It is 35% ABV. It's very popular here in Korea. And I've not tried it yet. I do plan on it. However, just it hasn't happened yet. The price-wise is fairly reasonable considering. And well, anyway, so they have begun to import the BenRiach. So that's interesting. That's great because they are quickly becoming one of the biggest selling single malt Scotch whiskey. Not single malt, but the biggest selling Scotch whiskey companies here in Korea. I'm not sure what their ranking is, but I believe it is in the top 5 of the category, if we can include them. Maybe we shouldn't, but they are definitely number 1 for what is called the low ABV. Again, I'll call that a Scotch-based spirit drink category. Okay. Anyway, they're importing the BenRiach single malt Scotch whiskey. This is a Speyside distillery. It's a very unique Speyside distillery. And I think this is going to be a very, very fun little series. So I hope you'll tune in for all of them. And at the end of all of the reviews, I will put a link to the whiskey tasting that was hosted by Stuart Buchanan, who is the global brand ambassador for this brand and 2 others that this company owns. Okay, so the BenRiach Distillery Company Limited, that's the name of the company. The BenRiach, this is the name of the whiskey. Let's get this opened, an unboxing. I know that everybody likes unboxings, don't you? So let's get that open. And inside we've got 4 beautiful miniatures of single malts. Shall I take them all out? There is the Heart of Speyside. And look at the color of that. This is absolutely natural and just fantastic. And then we have, this is a sherry matured. Not finished, but matured. And then we have the 16-year-old. And lastly, Septendecim. This is a peated version. Okay, so that's the range. And we'll do these one by one. And though I have not introduced the BenRiach as a brand on the channel, I believe that the brand ambassador did a fantastic job. So you can listen into that whiskey tasting that was hosted by Stuart Buchanan at the malt shop here in Seoul. Of course, they were the organizers of the event. So a nice shout out to those gentlemen there. Gents, thanks again for that. I'm so glad I could go, and hopefully you'll invite me again. Anyway, okay, so I'll put that aside for now. So we're going to start with the Heart of Speyside. So this one, the Heart of Speyside. Well, it's 40% ABV. And how young is it? Well, probably it is not as young as you would think. It doesn't say anything here. And, Mr. Buchanan didn't really mention how old it was, and why would he? So that's a non-age statement. It is the opening price point for the brand. And if you're looking at the photos, you'll see the newest photo, the newest product label design for the Heart of Speyside. So they've gone to a green theme, and they've also put quite an interesting graphic on there. This is the picture. So notice the picture here of the distillery and the casks all lined up there. And then I think it's going to be coming up shortly. Anyway, let's get this poured. And sometimes I'll pour the whole thing in the glass. Since I have 4 to get through, that's Mr. Billy Walker, who is the master distiller. Good job, sir. And there is Mr. Stuart Buchanan himself in an interview that I did with him. You can also see that on the channel. So the next picture here is the new packaging, and that is basically a stencil of the exact same photo that you saw earlier. So let's get that poured, shall we? There we are. That's a little bit more than half. Put the lid back on. So, Speyside, so you may be expecting a lot of fruit. And it is quite fruity. And I believe this is matured solely in ex-bourbon casks. There may be a little bit of finishing in sherry casks. Unfortunately, I wrote it down in my notes, and they're not handy at the moment. And I just had too many that night in order to recall every single detail. Anyway, we'll let that roll around a little bit. So 40% ABV. And price-wise, I believe this is quite a good price, even here in Korea. This may be in the $60 range, which is one of the more affordable single malts. Well, I think that's good enough. Before we get onto the nose, there will be a very short advertisement, and that'll be right here. Okay, welcome back. So, the Heart of Speyside from the BenRiach. Let's give that a smell. Now, even though this is a Speyside, this has some amount of peat in there. It's not much, but certainly more than other Speyside, Speysiders that you're familiar with. Many of those start with the word Glen. It's very earthy. There's a wood smokiness to it. And then you're also getting that very classic vanilla and caramel notes coming in from those ex-bourbon casks. We didn't talk about the color. It's very light, isn't it? That is basically like a... well, I wouldn't even say it's a lemon. That is even less than lemon. So not quite lemon yellow, more of a straw. Anyway, can you see that fairly well there? I hope you can. And what do we notice in the glass? Fairly quick legs coming through. Now it is 40% ABV. That doesn't necessarily mean that's a fault. There are some who think that 46 is the minimum that every whiskey should be. And well, what a lot of people are telling me, including Mr. Stuart Buchanan himself, you really have to look at the whiskey and see what it's telling you. And the whiskey will tell you what ABV it should be at. And it's certainly got a potent nose. So what do I get here? There are some fresh peaches. You've got that vanilla and caramel coming through. A little bit of smokiness. A hint of licorice in there as well. And a nice grain scent too. You talked about, you know, since whiskey is made from barley and barley malt, you should be able to smell the barley and that malt in the whiskey. And I'd say you definitely can here. Well, quite a lovely nose. Again, very impressive wood management at these companies, the BenRiach and also the GlenDronach, who they own. I've yet to try Glenglassa, though that will hopefully be rectified this summer. Okay, let's get on to the taste, shall we? You've got a really nice fruit basket in there. Vanilla is present throughout. And the finish is quite special. Again, some licorice. Mild licorice. And this fruit basket with peaches in there, pineapple, some nice ripe strawberries as well. Boy, this is also quite lovely. Now, my notes from the event were a little sporadic as I was spending most of my time recording the event. And I didn't want to split this in half and then have a half measure left to show you. So the notes will come out a little bit all mixed together. The nose, the taste, the finish. And that's the way you would taste a whiskey. Nobody will completely solve the nose and then get onto the taste and then the finish. It all happens together as you drink it. That smoke has dissipated. You've got just this little bit of caramel, vanilla caramels, I guess. Very subtle, very soft, very approachable. This is a wonderful opening price point. A very nice whiskey that someone could start out with to get into Scotch whisky and Speyside. Okay, we'll just carry on here. Strawberries and peaches. A little bit of licorice. Really sweet finish. Very sweet finish. It's not very dry. You know, I don't think I'm going to add any water to this at all. Should I add a tad, just out of curiosity? This is the trouble with curiosity. The water jug I really cannot control. So I'm just going to throw in about 1 milliliter of water in there. There we are. What an interesting finish. Licorice. A bread note. Bread with some butter and some strawberry jam on it. It's very long for a young whiskey. Just more vanilla coming through. Well, a tad fruitier. Slightly drier, in fact. Isn't that interesting? Still the same package of fruit coming through there with licorice. Is there anything nutty in there? Maybe a hint of something akin to marzipan. And yet maybe some cashew nuts as well. Well, this is another fine whiskey from this company. Now, again, my first from BenRiach, but don't forget they also own the GlenDronach and also Glenglassaugh. Okay, so now the fun part. What score is the BenRiach Heart of Speyside going to get? We are going to give this, we being me, we're going to give this 88 out of 100. That is for the BenRiach Heart of Speyside, the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score. 88 out of 100. I believe that this is probably one of the finest non-age statement entry whiskeys on the market. I've tried a few. If you are someone who regularly buys 10-year-old Speyside or 12-year-old Speyside or 10-year-old Highland, pardon me. If you give this a try, you will not be disappointed. And if I factor in the price, which I don't do, I don't factor in the price when I give a score. If I factored in the price into this, then it would be even more of a must-buy. Okay, so make sure you give that a try. I would try it soon. You know, you don't know what's going to happen with the brand in the future. Heart of Speyside, will it remain as is? Will they jazz it up? Which may mean marketing jazzing it up and quality remaining the same, or perhaps anyway. So go out and get yourself some soon. Now they just did a repackaging, so they're probably going to hang on to that for at least a couple of years. So you got about 2 years, I would say, to get a jump on the Heart of Speyside. Stock up, because this is going to be probably one of the least expensive single malt Scotch whiskies around. Okay, 88 out of 100. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed, why not do so? You can do so by clicking right down here in the corner. And why subscribe? Well, you'll get the updates as soon as possible through email if you subscribe, if you allow YouTube to send you emails. Or you'll get a notification on your iPhone if you happen to have one of those, or Galaxy, whatever that's called. I don't know what they call that. But anyway, so you'll get the notification of new reviews right away. And as you've been watching, I am also presenting some other content, whiskey tastings. There'll be lots of other things coming up very soon. Okay, so stay tuned. And at some point, there's going to be some sort of an event for subscribers. So more on that to come. Okay? Again, thank you so much. My name is Mark. You're watching Whiskey Whistle, and I will say goodbye.